hacker and whatever, and they're doing that to mock us, and because of him, that code is out there. If it wasn't for him, that code wouldn't be out there, and people wouldn't be able to retweet it. So I would imagine they would try to make that case, and they would try to make it even heavier for him as a penalty because of that. But I don't know.
Yeah, you see,
it is ridiculous. But,
yeah, I mean the way I was looking at a few different ways, and yeah, maybe if you put it into a context like say a cammed film that's been recorded on somebody's digital camera in the cinema, the person that originally made it is taken away by Sony or whoever and brought before the court. But when the actual material gets out online, surely the responsibility then is with the person who retweets, resends, reshares the material if any other case was to come forward. And the point I was trying to make was, if Sony is saying, oh, X amount of people know, or the whole planet knows about this hack because of this chap, well, the person that's distributing the information or the hack after the event is probably partly responsible as well. And it'd be impossible to quantify how bad an influence this one chap had when you've got Sony's bot retweeting the same type of information again.
It's a bit different. You said something about copyright infringement for a film, and you mentioned retweeted, and it's quite a different topic.
Yeah,
because then you're talking about linking as a copyright infringement, and that's a very touchy subject. If you link to something that could be used then to download something legally, and some sites are actually based on just giving links to this type of stuff. Actually, Pirate Bay is one such site. Then it becomes a question of, it's just saying where you can find something, an actual encouragement of the act of downloading something legal.
But I mean, let's put this into context. This Holtz programmer, hacker, whatever he wants to be called, all he's done in essence is release information. He hasn't physically done anything at all. He's released information, so this is how you can open up the PS3 console, and people have then shared that information and passed it around the net. And it's quite incredible at the end of the day to think.
I've got another hypothetical here. I mean, I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying, imagine what if it could be. I don't know. Imagine someone at Sony decided, right, we've got this Holtz guy on the racks. We're already screwing him in the courts. We're trying to get access to his computer to find out who else he works with and all that. What if we could turn this into a money spinner and we, quote, accidentally, unquote, tweet this? And then we watch everyone who retweets it. And then we go to our lawyers and say, right, here's a list of accounts on Twitter. Go find out who they are. Go send their ISP letters and get them passed on, and let's start making money out of these people. Just saying.
Well, I mean, Sony did request the IP addresses, didn't it, of everybody that accessed that particular website which hosted the information, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, they do try to get that.
Yeah. Now that is worrying because it's effectively they're assuming the role of law enforcement at that point. Surely, when they're getting that level of information, I mean, there's one thing taking 27 Moody file sharers to court on an allegation of copyright infringement. It's something completely else when you're just scooping up IP addresses that happen to have visited a site, and there could be a multitude of reasons why they've gone to that site, not even connected to the hack at all.
The search engine spiders.
Yeah, it's a very worrying trend for the future. And like I say, whilst I think Sony products are absolutely fantastic, I think the actions and the damage that they're doing to their reputation is very worrying.
No, that's not Sony. There are lots of Sonys now. This is actually something that disturbs me. Also in the context of I don't think Apple is doing that, but I know Microsoft has this great division within the company, and some parts of Microsoft operate as subsidiaries now. So what they do is, first of all, at the level of the operation of things like open source and proprietary, the OSI wrote a very daring post a few weeks ago saying that basically when they ask Microsoft why it's suing Linux or why it's suing open source or whatever, Microsoft will say, oh, it's just some other people in the company, somewhere, some part of the company. And they try to basically excuse themselves based on some completely elusive division within the company. They just say, well, this is a different department, which of course is not really acceptable because as a company it should be responsible as a whole entity. And the other thing they do, though, is, well, one thing they do is evading tax and trying to use subsidiaries and parts of Microsoft to do the accounting if necessary. But one other thing they do is they try to lobby in certain countries and then try to pass themselves off as a foreign company, as a European company, to basically say, well, we work for European interests. But then you think, oh, this is Microsoft. It's an American company. Everything is in America. The headquarters, the people who founded the company, but they try to base the company, register the company in Europe so they can have more leverage over the local economy. This is what seems to be happening in this case with Sony. They have, because parts of Sony is actually funding the RAA, which is extremely hated, but people don't even know that. The ordinary people don't know that. They just think that the RAA and the MPAA, they think these are just some company somewhere or a bunch of bastards, with lawyers, but they don't really check who's funding these people and who these people actually represent to absorb all the bad reputation.
One of the things that Sony are doing in these two court cases is they're trying to draw that. When you see how slimy the lawyers are when they try to make really bizarre connections to try and say, oh, there's a set of precedents here. The one case that the Sony lawyer said, well, why can't Sony America get these documents from Sony International? And Sony's lawyer said, well, in a case to do with, it was a Swiss parent company and an American child company, and it was two different companies that had some partnership deal, and that was the connection they were trying to draw. They've never been part of the same company. It was two totally different names of companies. One happened to be based in Switzerland, the parent company, and one in America, the child company, and that's the president. And you're like, hang on a minute. When this was done originally, Sony Computer and Entertainment America was part of Sony. It only became independent later, and they still both trade as the name Sony. If Americans say Sony, who do they mean? They mean Sony, basically. I mean, a lot of people would not even realise that Sony Computer and Entertainment America are any different unless they happen to notice the little copyright screens when they boot up a game. They just think Sony is Sony. It's just one big multinational.
Right. We shouldn't assume, though, that the lawyers are there to actually run a court case with presidents and whatever to support justice or support the law. I mean, these people are there to work for clients. And their goal, even if they know they do the wrong thing, is to defend the client or defend their side. And this is what they get paid for. So a good job doesn't necessarily actually saying the truth, it's actually trying to pass the truth to the best extent that you can without getting in trouble to accomplish something for the client. And of course you have lawyers on both sides of the case. You may have a jury. And this is generally quite troubling to people who are themselves lawyers and kind of see how things work and how I know a person would explain to you even that the court cases are not about who's right, but who's got more money to stay in court for a long, long time, to file more motions. And this is why very often the weaker side will not even go to court, but just basically surrender based on the encumberment of the legal bills. And in this case with Sony, if you say they lie, you should point that out, but you shouldn't think that they don't necessarily know that. Maybe they just try to, because they're not there to actually run the case and to find out the truth. It's two sides competing, basically, playing a game. And seeing who's capable. It's a bit like the election too, PR campaigns and two PR campaigns and seeing who can sell the candidate better. It's not necessarily who's a better candidate, but just who's doing a better PR campaign.
Yeah, it is crazy. It really is. The fact that they go ahead and try to bring all these bizarre cases in to set a precedent. I mean, it's a much bigger game. So that's what makes it really hard for regular people to try and track this. I mean, I've got a lot of information that I just gave earlier from a Grok post. And that Grok post has got, PJ has done a fantastic job laying it all out and laying out transcripts and all of it in big sections it's legalese. I don't speak legalese. And you're filing a motion to dismiss and a motion for this, that, and the next thing, and this kind of brief and that kind